So as I mentioned, Mike was planning to join me up here and help present this award to the recipients for this year. But he wasn't able to be here, but he wanted me to, he sent a little note that he wanted me to read. So he says, please extend my sincere apologies to Lee and Bob and John from the McNeil Foundation for missing tonight's presentation, and with my respect and admiration for being the heroes they have been for Cosmo. Howie would have been so pleased that these gentlemen in particular received the Founders Award, now named in my dad's honor. He goes on to say, I think I even hear Howie whispering in my ear, Michael, maybe the McNeil Group would like to get involved in helping us fund the new satellite program we want to create. They just might be interested. Howie was, as we all know, he was never one to let an opportunity pass by, and neither should we. So that's a little note from Mike to the good folks that are going to receive this award. So this year, the Maunders McNeil Foundation has been chosen to receive this prestigious award. The foundation has been a huge supporter of Cosmo for many, many years. Cosmo's association with the Maunders McNeil Foundation began many years ago, and when they provided some significant funding to acquire a building adjacent to Cosmo that became known as the Maunders McNeil Building. Having this additional space was very important as our golf assembly business was growing, and we are so proud that this support that we got from the foundation and the generosity they provided has contributed greatly to the many years of success in the golf business, and it fostered such a great program for our participants that they had such pride in. The foundation followed up with another significant contribution to the expansion of our recycling facility. This area also provides a wonderful and worthwhile program for our participants. And they feel very proud because it's such a high-profile part of our programming for the city, and it'll even be more so in the future as we embark on our multi-unit residential recycling program with the city. Most recently, the foundation's funding has provided the capital that was required to develop the space for our Community Enriched Supports program, and also the Maunders McNeil Fitness Center at our sister organization, Kinsman Elmwood Manor, which so many of the Cosmo participants use on a regular basis and benefit from. foundation truly represents the spirit of this award, as they have made a giant contribution to enhancing the quality of life for those participants in our community that have intellectual and physical disabilities. We are very honored to have the foundation board members with us here. We have Lee Hergott, Bob Hickey, and John MacInnes in attendance tonight to accept the award on behalf of the foundation. So please join me in congratulating the Maunders McNeil Foundation as recipients of the 2014 Howard Stensrud Spirit of Cosmo Foundation Award.
Thanks very much. Please, everybody sit down. My name is John MacInnes. I'm one of the board members. Of course, you know, Lee and Bob are here. And, you know, we really feel that we're lucky because we just happen to be fulfilling Maund McNeil's vision here. He was the guy who started this all. And, you know, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Maund because a lot of people don't know who he is or a lot about him. So if you bear with me for just a couple of minutes, I'll just give you a little bit of his story. Somebody asked me the other day, you know, well, is Maunders McNeil, is that two people? You know, and Maund McNeil was Maund's name, but he's named after his mother. His mother's maiden name was Maunders, so his name is Maunders McNeil. He's born in Estevan, Saskatchewan in what was it, 1909. And basically then his family moved to Winnipeg in the 20s and that, and he attended high school and that in Winnipeg, and he won some track awards. You know, he was quite an athlete, and those actual trophies, I know Howie got them from me one day, and I think they're in the Elmwood building there, and with a picture of Maund with those actual trophies from when he was in. We think it's somewhere around grade 11 or grade 12, so it's kind of neat to have that stuff there. But Maund, in the 40s, he started a heating and air conditioning business with his dad and his brother, and by 1950 he took over and bought out a bunch of people and created wholesale heating supplies. And so in the 50s he starts out in Winnipeg with a heating and air conditioning business, and basically he expands that over the next 37 years, and he goes Winnipeg, Brandon, Regina, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, Lethbridge, and he has offices in all of these buildings. He has, at that point, you know, up to 80 employees and that. But in the 70s, he got heavily involved in Cosmo, and he came and he met all of the people. He was the president of Cosmo in Winnipeg, and later when he moved to Calgary. But he met Howie and Al here in the 70s, and you guys were doing a project, something to do with Elmwood, and Maund said, hey, I like that, and he went back to Calgary, and he actually duplicated your guys' project back there. Did a sort of a rehab of, you know, some handicap living accommodations and things like that. But he ended up being, not only was he the president of Cosmo in Calgary and in Winnipeg, he was named the Cosmo of the Year, I think in 1972 or 73. And then in 73, he was named the International Cosmo of the Year. So he was heavily involved in Cosmo, and that was always near and dear to his heart. And you know, it's kind of, I can just imagine him and Howie arguing with each other over who should get this award, you know, and Howie would be saying, no, Maund, this is an award for you, and Maund would be saying, no, Howie, you should have this award. You know, it was any time that we came, you know, to Saskatoon to meet with Howie, Howie and Al usually were the guys that we met with. You know, they would always be saying, oh, hey, we've got this great idea, and the ideas that the Cosmo Club had, and with Cosmo and Elmwood, were so great that, you know, we as a board have been able to, you know, it's really easy to participate in these projects because they're fabulous, you know. And I mean, we sort of look at it and we go, hey, we're really fortunate as a board of directors to just be continuing Maund's vision. And I guess what it was is in about 84, Maund incorporated the Maunders McNeil Foundation. And when was it, about 87, he sold his business. But he was smart businessman. He sold the business, but he kept all the buildings. Okay, so he had tenants in all of those cities that I named. They had all these buildings. And then when Maund passed away, he left his estate. He didn't have any children, and he left his estate to his foundation. And so we got all of these buildings, which generate the revenue that we use to do the projects that we've been real fortunate to be involved in. You know, so just little story on Maund that way. I'm just trying to think if I've left out anything on that. Well, you know, Maund was heavily involved in the United Church in both Winnipeg and in Calgary. You know, he was on the board of directors of that. Heavily involved in the Cosmo group throughout the world, basically. And he was also involved in the North American Heating and Air Conditioning Association. He was the president of that. So his whole career kind of tied in, and he ended up. You know, I kind of think it's funny because he was born in Saskatchewan, so he ended up a lot of the things that we end up doing are here in Saskatoon or in other places in Saskatchewan. What he wanted to do with his foundation was put back into all of the communities that he made money in. He wanted to put money back in. So many of the things that the Maunders McNeil Foundation supports are projects like in Winnipeg, and I know there's one in Dauphin that we've done, and just different places where that Maund said, hey, if I made money there, I want to put that money back into the community. And so that's kind of Maund's story in this thing, and Lee and I and Bob are the directors of the foundation, but we really feel honored to just be able to continue his vision of doing all of these different things. We're able to support 50 or 60 charities a year now through what Maund's vision was of this whole thing. So we thank you for the award, but it's Maund McNeil who started the whole thing out, and it's an award for him. And I know he and Howie are up there having a beer, sort of saying, wow, this is it. So, anyways, it's all good, and thanks very much for honoring us today.
Ken, would you again?
Yeah, I gotta widen up the lens. I'm gonna hold that in the middle there. Okay, I'll back up like this. Okay. Work it. You look great. I was gonna tell you to stand like one.